Welcome to your February 2022 reading. So this is the astrological overview, and then you will watch me shuffle the cards. So if you're like, I think the format is changing. You guys always know when I'm changing the format. Yes, the format is changing. Okay, so let's go. You're gonna need something to write with or open up the notes app. Here we go. On February 1st, which is today, you have the new moon in your sign. And on the 16th, you have the full moon in Leo across from you. So what that means is for the next 16 days or so, you are balancing between what you need most and your general preoccupation in life, which is what other people need. But you're beginning to see it through a lens of fairness. Your sense of fairness is very, how should we say, refined. You take great pride in being righteous about things that anyone should be righteous about. So that's not a dig. But often that fairness doesn't apply to how people treat you. That fairness is more of an ideological standpoint, right? Things should be fair. Laws should be fair. Societal structures and hierarchies should be fair. This all makes sense to you. But if I say to you that someone taking advantage of you to the point where all their needs are being met and none of yours are being met, and I ask you if that's fair, there is a moment of short-circuiting. And I think in February, you're asking yourself, why? Why is it so foreign to me, the idea that maybe that fairness that I can so easily use to pass judgment appropriately? Why can't that fairness also apply to me? And for some of you, it's like this really obvious epiphany, if you can say that, where you're almost annoyed with how simple the realization is, but also perturbed by how incapable you feel of changing. But that's what the next 2 weeks are for. So between the 10th and the 13th, people want this change from you, but they also want change with you. So while you're trying to rebalance your needs with their needs, they're actually trying to get more from you, which is great. It does exacerbate the issue, but that's what I mean, that it's great. Because now you'll really get to see, especially between the 10th and the 13th, but really from now until the 16th, who doesn't believe in reciprocity, who really is just in it to win it, for themselves. Ew. It's just so gross, and I feel like it's fine if you're doing that to somebody who also feels that way, but to do it to somebody who obviously has everyone else's best interests at heart, it seems especially unfair. But it is, like I said, it exacerbates the issue, but it really does bring into glaring relief those people who just don't deserve any more effort being put in without any feedback coming, back the other way. Feedback coming back. Mercury's still retrograde. Oh, okay. Just checking. So on the 14th, speaking of Mercury, on the 14th, Mercury moves into your sign. And then what I have written here is that it's akin to a romantic lottery for you. You just, everything is going in your favor. You can be very articulate about your emotions. You can seduce people. You can woo people. You have some wounds and some ego scars you want to heal anyway. You're out here breaking hearts. You're charming everybody, but you're doing it in this super intellectual way. You figured out that sexuality is kind of banal, and now you're all about, kind of charming people with your wit, your intelligence. Usually there's that, and then there's underneath that there is this Aquarian kind of raw sexuality, and you've put that away for the most part, and you've seen how that yields great results if you kind of push that sexuality onto others and make them react to it instead of being reactive to it yourself, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, we'll go more into it when we look at the cards. And then so, because you are very articulate, because it is really easy for you to basically talk anyone into anything, especially romantically, you may You may feel like, why work on something long-term that I'm already a part of? You know, I'm so good at this right now. I can get what I want from people. Why not go out and just meet someone new? Why not have an affair? Or why not just go out and flirt a little? Don't do that. All that's going to do is take this really great energy that you can use to fix your existing situation, and you're going to squander it and waste it, and it's not like you're going to meet anyone special, so it'll just be for nothing. Instead, why don't you go the other way? Why don't you think about getting engaged? Why don't you think about deepening that connection instead of trying to run away from it? Because chances are that if you are trying to run away from it, it's because it's already deepening, right? Okay, that's fine. Now, the next thing I have written down here is go around the sabotage to the person in power, to the person who is the most important. So that go around the sabotage, that can be people in your workspace, who just for seems like no reason at all are threatened by you, and then you know how people act when they're threatened. But this can also be the sabotage within, which is what we were just touching on right before, you know. For some people and some nations, I mean, you can apply this to any like meta level you want to take it, but you know, blessings can be a curse. And so it's really up to you to ensure that your gift of gab and your charm and your beauty and everything else that is calling people to you right now is a gift and not a curse. And only you are able to use it as either. No one can take this from you. No one can rob you of this energy and make you do anything with it. You are very much a master of your own fate right now. And that's liberating, and of course, because it's also your season, that's wonderful to hear, and who doesn't want to feel that in control? But it also places an enormous responsibility on you, because, you know, if it is time to rebalance your needs, then any step you take moving forward, no pressure there, it's all on you. If moving forward after you rebalance and you get rid of the people who don't believe in reciprocity, what happens the next time you're in a situation like that? What happens when you allow, if you allow another person in like that? You know, it leaves the door open for high levels of accountability, which is great if you're up to the challenge, but it can also feel like walking on eggshells all the time. You know, if you feel like you just can't fuck up. So there is a happy medium somewhere in there, and I don't profess to know what that is. Hopefully the cards will give us more insight into that, but also time, you know, especially between that 10th and the 13th, where people really become so much more demanding than they should be, and it's, well, it's unseemly. It's offensive. Whenever people ask other people for things, whether they're in a relationship with them or not, little aside, or I'm just going to throw my own little sazon in here. Sazon is a spice, if you don't know. I grew up in a Dominican neighborhood. Don't get mad at me. What I was saying was, before I lost my train of thought talking about sazon, your season is hilarious. I will say that. I really am constantly marveling at the amount of gall and audacity that people have in asking other people for things that are completely inappropriate, especially when it's things that they should absolutely be doing for themselves and should have been taught a long time ago. But also, it's okay if you weren't taught. If you're above the age of 18, you should have taken the responsibility to teach yourself things like this. I'm not talking about like learning how to mop the floor or, you know, separate your colored and white clothes. I'm talking about just like common decency and you know, not overreaching and not asking for too much, and having a basic sense of self and others and dignity for self, but also respect for others. When you encounter this idea that people are asking too much, and you start to get like offended by this need to have to rebalance. You know, the first couple of days of February you might be kind of irritated. Like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to rebalance? Why don't people get this on their own? Why do I have to be the one to? But then as you start to look at it more and more, you're also going to be you know, a little bit surprised by how many of these people are only there for the imbalanced relationship. You know? And does that then in some way fuel your insecurity, and does that make you then use this wonderful charm for evil instead of good? What an origin story, Aquarius. Love you. Let's do the cards. We'll see.